High Level is a full CRM and marketing platform, and I've used some of the best in the SaaS industry. And we are live daytime on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch. It's Revening's Wednesday. Welcome to Revening's Wednesday, revenue party people. We've got hot topics, a hot prize, and hot guests we're going to get into right now in the daytime hours. So this is a new time for me. We're usually in the evening. But it just started to feel more in alignment now that, I don't work for other people and I'm, have my time back to myself a little bit and I'm not trying to do everything after 5 o'clock. So we're just going down a new pathway these days, but let's get right into it because we have some really great guests that I'm excited to introduce you to and excellent topics. But before we get into it, I want to make sure and tell you about a few things. First, I'll tell you about my free workbook. You can just scan this QR code and that will get you 3-day challenge to building your brand. So this isn't just like, how to grow on LinkedIn. This is how to actually build across channels. So there's LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, but also then how to schedule that and do it in a way that you can scale. So also one really big thing it does that many people miss out on in marketing is helps you understand who is your audience and what is your message. Because before we go out and tout our megaphone, we need to understand those things. Because if we don't have product market fit, then nothing's going to happen. But hey, Erica, hey, everyone. I think I saw Dean dropping potatoes in the comments. What's everyone up to today? I want to hear from you. Let me know where you're tuning in from. In the meantime, I love Cherry Assistant, and I'm proud to be working again with Cherry Assistant this year. And Cherry Assistant is a virtual assistant service, but they're more than that. Cherry Assistant has changed my life because I used to be much more frazzled doing things like, through the night. I'm a mom. I have 2 kids. So after they went to bed, I was still working. And I'm proud to say I don't do that anymore. And it's because I'm able to delegate and feel confident with what I'm delegating. And they do more than just what they help me with. So you should reach out to Cherry Assistant and talk to them about like getting someone to help you with whatever it is you are working on. So I would love to help you with that as well. Feel free to reach out if you want to ask me about my experience. But also there's High Level. So High Level is my all-in-one tool for CRM and marketing automation. And, they don't break the bank. So when I was working for B2B SaaS companies, we were spending like 5 figures on these tools. Like, let's just say 2 figures, $97 a month will get you on High Level. And you get all the features and everything you need. But really what it does is it's empowering people like me to be able to grow businesses on their own. And now we're seeing even bigger businesses shift to tools like High Level. And I'd like to help you do that as well. If you'd like a 30-day free trial, you can use my affiliate link right here. And you can also find it at reveting.com/high level if you're watching this later on podcast. But let's get right into it. I want to introduce you to our guests. I'm going to go ahead and bring them in here. Welcome to the show, Stefanie Couch and John Benson.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course. I don't think I warned either of you pre-show. So if you haven't seen Wednesday, I want to let you know the way we do introductions here is we put a 2-minute clock up on the screen and we ask you to tell us your full life story in 2 minutes. And we want the stuff that we can't find on LinkedIn. We don't want to know your resume, your awards and everything else. We want to know where you were born and what brought you to where you are now. And we'll start with you, John, with 2 minutes on the clock.
Excellent. I have 2 stories to tell. I will tell you about my first day in my career. Came out of college, freshman year, threw my hat in the ring for a account internship. I got picked by IBM to go be the account executive intern for a big blue, big iron, paper powerful IBM sales rep back in the day where IBM was 80% of the business, carrying an $18 million quota, selling to CIOs. This second call of my sales life, carrying his briefcase, polishing his shoes, was on the CIO's office at Exxon with an IBM Big Blue account executive. I was hooked. I have been hooked on my career since age 19. Um, I've been able to retire for many years now. I will be selling until I can't sit, write, think, talk, and sell. So let's talk about today. I'm a fractional CSO. I conduct a practice for small to medium sized businesses. This provides both managerial leadership as well as strategy and sales management tactics. Um, I've had a blessed life. I have loved what I do every single day of my life. I got to be a salesperson.
Thank you for that. Sorry if I didn't back it up in time, but appreciate you sharing that story. I love hearing about IBM, and they were big, and they still are big. Let me stop this clock here. But it's great to have you on the show, and I look forward to hearing some more of your expertise and knowledge that you've gained since being an account executive intern. But Stefanie, could you kick us off with 2 minutes on the clock? You know, we get to see you on LinkedIn all the time and with awesome images. We were talking pre-show. That's what caught my eye when I first saw you on LinkedIn was you were with like, I don't know, maybe a loader or an excavator or some sort of, equipment. And it just, it's so unique. You don't really see people posting that sort of content on LinkedIn, and you do it so seamlessly and so well. And then of course, you help other people succeed with their personal brands, but we want to know the real you. So where were you born and what brought you to now?
Awesome. Thank you. So I was born in a very small area in south of Atlanta, but the story gets interesting when I was around 5. I moved to the North Georgia mountains. I like to casually refer to it as the sticks. We had to drive like 45 minutes to go to the grocery store in a small town called Salty Nakuchi. So that is a real place. And the biggest thing there is churches, cows, and banks. So I grew up in small rural Georgia, and my dad owned a lumber yard, and I spent time ringing up customers, selling them cookies. During the summer, we would do cookies and lemonade. I was a Girl Scout. One of my favorite memories is winning my troop for selling the most cookies every single year. And I like to go steal forklifts on the yard when my dad was busy with customers, and I really wasn't supposed to be doing that. And I would go pick up things and move them around the yard. So I've always sort of been a rebel that loved sales and really loved to win. And I've always stood out in my industry because I grew up in a family lumberyard and I worked with all men. There was no women really customers, and there was really no women working in any part of the industry that I dealt with. So once I got older, I continued that career after college and went into a big distribution company where I helped scale and grow that. And I learned a lot, but I failed a lot. And I think one of the biggest things is I was trying to be a person that fit into kind of a mold that everyone else in my company looked like and act like. And I obviously don't really fit into that normal mold. I mean, of really anything. I'm kind of a weirdo. And so I just started to embrace that. And 2 years ago, my husband and I started our own company. The real me is that I'm a classically trained opera singer. I like to sing and play piano and do musical stuff. I am really into certain things like my golden retriever and hanging out with my husband in my spare time when I'm not like out doing events. So that's really it. If you want to talk for a few more hours, I can go into the golden retriever part because that's my favorite subject.
The golden retriever part. Yeah. I mean, wow. Stealing forklifts and riding those around as a little kid. I mean, that's pretty intense. And I loved
I'm lucky to be alive, truly. Like, I really am not surprised. I'm surprised I didn't knock down like a pole shed or something for sure. I should not have been doing it.
Yeah. Man, what a childhood though. You know, I feel like that type of behavior, wild behavior is like, kids don't get to do that anymore. There's so many like rules, whatever. So
Yeah.
lucky you that you got to just like live that and be in that. And so now you get to share that experience with others. So let's
Yes.
get right into these topics because we have a lot to learn. So starting, and this is really a whole like growth GTM because we got sales and marketing here. So topic 1 is sales and sales manager excellence to be particular. I know people listening who here has worked with a sales manager that you've really enjoyed working with. Like what were some of their qualities, or like what were some of the qualities if you didn't that you hoped or you wished your sales manager would have had? We'd love to hear what people in the comments, if you're listening, what you think about sales management. I was a sales manager once upon a time actually, and I felt like I was more of a CRM jockey because I just really spent a lot of time in Salesforce moving stuff around, and I was like the marketer, default sales manager, whatever. I digress. It's an interesting topic, and I'm excited you're going to kick us off on it, John.
Absolutely. I have a parable for you. I went to my doctor and I said, Doctor, telleth me, are you certified? And the doctor said, Yea, verily, so I am. I am board certified in medicine. I went to my lawyer and I said, Lawyer, doth telleth me, are you certified? And the lawyer said, Yea, verily, I am so. I have a license to practice law. I went to my roofer. Are you certified? He is. My electrician, do you have a certification? I do. My therapist, are you certified? I do. My accountant, my lawyer, practically every major profession in this world has a professional certification, even such things as project management, the PMP PMBOK. I ask you a question. Have you ever met a salesperson with a certification? There are none. We are not a certifiable industry. There is no standards for certifications. There are no standards that say, if you do this, we guarantee quality. So next we say, telleth me of your training. And a salesperson will say, Yo, verily, I am trained in Miller Hyman New Selling. It is the best. The next person says, Yea, verily, I'm trained in conceptual selling. It is the best. The next person says, I'm trained in new sales strategies and the best. And on and on. You can get my point. There is no licensing. There is no standard training. We are the last profession standing that is seat of your pants, make it up as you go with some fundamental best practices. And the beauty of that is those have been around for hundreds of years. The Benjamin Franklin close, innovated by Ben Franklin, the takeaway close. Many of our practices over 100 years old. So as we look at the importance of sales managers, they are more important in our profession because of the lack of standardization, because of the diversity of the training, because you're dealing with a people profession that has technology, CRMs, that has processes, sales stages, that has analytics. I believe it's one of the most refined professions out there. It is a study of people, activity, and money. So we're going to be talking about sales today. We're going to be talking about some of the individual levels of sales, SDR, BDR, and account executive. I'm going to be providing some practices to you so that you can get a snapshot. Am I in best practices? A couple of the pitfalls, don't go over this cliff, and a couple of these, I really recommend that you do these. Back over to you.
I love that. I never would have guessed that this was your first podcast. I mean, it's almost like you're a natural. But I do hear what you're saying in terms of like, you don't have to get certified to be a sales manager. I mean, look at me. I was just a marketing manager, and they were like, hey, you're doing a really great job with that sales stuff. It's really enabling us to do our work. Maybe you should just, help track sales and the activity and hold people accountable.
So one of the rules of thumb is that people are going to consider their status in sales like they do kissing. People either think they're great kissers or terrible kissers. People either think they're great salespeople or terrible salespeople. And the reality is, until you practice kissing a lot, you're probably bad at it. The same with sales. It's about practice.
I have never heard that analogy. Have you, Stefanie?
No.
What's your experience with sales management?
Well, I was in sales management for a long time at my old job, so that's really what I did. And it was a interesting thing because our marketing and sales are pretty much the same thing in most companies that I worked in. It was the marketing department was, like you said, the sales department most of the time. And they did not also use CRMs or any technology. So most of the time, it's pretty much gut feelings and, what do we think is going to happen? And that's literally based on probably just somebody's word. There's no data around it. So I think that now with high level, I also use high level and other CRMs, other things, implementing those into the world of what I came from is game changing because you can actually look at something and say, no, this is truly what the data says. We've looked at this, we know our CAC, we know our LTV, we know these things. Most of those little terms that I just spat out, I never heard in my job before, but my company was an $8 billion a year company. So I think it's talking about sales in a way that your industry and your customers or your possible customers will understand and what is valuable to them. So value is always different based on what you're doing selling, and you've got to know that in your industry. So working for IBM and working for a lumberyard, it's selling, but it's two very different worlds.
Oh man, there's so many different worlds, so many different ways to go about it, but either way, in either industry, you don't need a certification to be a sales manager, right?
Yeah, some of the salespeople are certifiable, but they're not certified. That's for sure.
That's true. It's true. So let's see. All right, going off of that, let's transition a little bit. Man, a good sales manager with a personal brand. I'm trying to think, who out there on LinkedIn have I seen talking about sales management? Anyone out there know any sales management gurus or influencers to follow? I'm kind of wondering now, who are the good sales managers out there? But let's get into the second topic, which is personal branding. And I'm thinking, man, those sales managers, they should get a good personal brand. They get the team to do things for them. Just build the personal brand for their team. But anyway, close the trust gap with the team. I digress. Personal branding. Let's talk about it for building a business with LinkedIn, not building just credibility with your own internal team, but it can also help you bring in revenue. And I know you help businesses do this. Stefanie, could you kick us off on this topic?
Absolutely. I think LinkedIn is the most underutilized source of attention and sales potential of anywhere, because a lot of the traditional channels are pretty much, something people know about. And then Instagram, you hear all of these other things. They're really hard to get into. I mean, Instagram now is so progressive in what you have to do to be really good on Instagram, unless you just have some really crazy thing happen, a stroke of luck, and you go viral and then you get a following. It's really hard. LinkedIn is a place that people are living and breathing in a mindset of business. That's what I love about LinkedIn is people that are on LinkedIn are already thinking about business. And you can also just get information, even if you don't use LinkedIn as the method that you go about finding someone and actually talking to them. You can get their information and figure out who they are, where they're living and breathing, and where you could possibly go see them even in person. So it's really a great medium for a lot of ways. They have Sales Navigator, which can help you actually, find people in certain technical disciplines or certain size businesses. You can sort it all different ways. And you can really just go to the search bar. This is something I think is really underutilized, and type in whatever you want to type in and put in that without Sales Navigator, and it'll give you people that have it in their profile. So I'll give you an example. The word doors, I sell a lot of customers that are in that world, doors, windows, millwork. A lot of my clients are looking for that. A lot of those people are my clients. If I type in the word doors in the search bar, I think 3 million searches come up, 3 million people. So that's a lot of opportunity in one very niche keyword. So can you imagine if you looked at sales or, SaaS or whatever your industry is, even beauty or, mining, you can go as niche as you want, and you're going to find people just with that one little keyword search, and companies are on there as well. So there's just so much opportunity, and building your personal brand just gets more attention on LinkedIn. People care about people a lot more than companies on platforms like this. business. So if you go and you actually build a brand, it's a lot easier to get actual inbound attention instead of having to cold outreach to people and they're like, who the heck is this? And then they go look on your LinkedIn profile and you have a 20-year-old headshot and no posts and no information, and you haven't built your LinkedIn. So they want to know who you are. It's just another way to have a digital business face of yourself and what you want to be known for. And then also their algorithm and their searchability on even Google will come up a lot more than your personal website because it's LinkedIn. They're spending time and money to get SEO. So if you put Stefanie Couch in, my LinkedIn is going to come up. Now, I do post a lot, but even if you don't really post, it's probably going to come up. So you've got a lot of opportunity there to not spend money on SEO and get found.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great point. And I love that you shared that it's applicable in basically every industry.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm curious about your take on personal branding, John. I know it's like, do you see sales teams or sellers spending more time on LinkedIn?
I would answer that with regards to what level they are. For example, I'm the CSO for a $50 million IT company. Our CSO is highly branded on LinkedIn. And the reason is he has a great deal of trade associations, company associations. He goes to events, he's doing things. So part of his sales persona is his presentation of his brand as an industry participant, extremely highly valuable. We also have account executives. These account executives, their branding is not so important. All their LinkedIn needs to say is, here's me, here's what I do, and I'm competent with a couple of posts. So with regards to the efficacy of a salesperson, it really is structured according to their impact on the market. The higher the impact, the more their branding matters. The less of their impact, the less it matters. And obviously, for a service provider like me, branding on LinkedIn is really important. And the fun part about branding in sales world is your persona. So I brand myself as an elder statesman of sales. When I turned 62, I decided to become an elder statesman of sales. There is my branding.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. I would say that as maybe a different perspective, we might start seeing more account executive levels, even at larger companies, starting to utilize LinkedIn to become more active, especially as they're like maintaining relationships, even prospecting and nurturing at that level of sales. Because
What we're starting to see happen is multimodal marketing. The days of just calling are over. The days of just emailing are over. The days of just using LinkedIn are over. We're seeing multimodal marketing combining with sales. In cases like that, the account executive is using their LinkedIn to spin out communications matched to their sales calls. In areas like that, it's really up to marketing to provide that sales rep with content that builds their posts out. That's where people go to figure out if you're worth a darn, and to provide that as a service so that they keep selling. The stakes go up if you use your LinkedIn to sell into an organization.
I think there's a whole nother play though there that, a lot of people miss is that you as a executive at a company, obviously it is a different level. But even when you take an outside salesperson or inside salesperson for a location, you have people in your market they are on LinkedIn. They may never post, they may never say a word, they don't like anything. I call them silent lurkers. I love the silent lurkers because they're buyers. And when you start to post on LinkedIn, if you post a sales marketing thing that obviously came from your marketing department to sell some things that you need to sell, people don't care. They hear that already. They see it on your company page. But what people care about is your actual story. And stories translate. There's a reason why people remember stories of themselves, of someone else, of a Disney movie years after they've watched it, instead of a fact or a figure that we throw out like CEOs that have a personal brand make 11% more profitability for the company than CEOs that don't have a personal brand. In an hour, you probably won't remember that statistic. It's true, it's from Forbes, but you don't care because most of the time it's a story. Now, if I told you a story of a CEO I worked with that I made an extra $11,000 on every single 100,000 that we made, it was more profitable because of a personal brand and him posting on LinkedIn or her posting on LinkedIn every day, you would listen and remember that. So I think it's about telling a story that people actually pay attention to because money follows attention. And that's just true. And so attention now is online and you have to have a multi-tiered approach. I totally agree with that. But this is keeping people top of mind in a way that someone actually would pay attention to and not just some boring LinkedIn post that's a corporate mumbo jumbo that nobody cares about.
Yeah. It can be a controversial topic. I was on a LinkedIn audio one time with Melanie Borden, and the topic was sort of, has your employer ever tried to keep you from posting? And so like people, they want to go out and express themselves and be their own authentic selves. But on LinkedIn, sometimes employers aren't so happy with that.
And absolutely.
They sometimes will even have things in writing. So when you're getting a job, like you might have to sign something in writing. But we do see some modern companies like Gong, for example, I think is a good example where they encourage their team to go out and not just post branded, marketed stuff. In fact, don't do that because it makes it look, less credible. You don't want to look like an ad. You want to look like a real human. And even like, what's the new generation that's making up all the words? Gen Z.
Gen Z.
So their whole thing, like if you're targeting Gen Z, like show a video of your nose, it better not be polished. It better be so absolutely not edited and polished. And otherwise they're going to be like, they don't connect with ads. Heck, they just want to skip the ads. So if you're looking like an ad, especially with Gen Z, but it's interesting. And I think different companies have different takes on it. But no,
there's a lot of that censoring that goes on for sure. I think it's about being bold enough as a company to understand what you stand to gain and not being so loss, centric where you're thinking like, oh, if they post this, it could make us look bad. Think about how many paid dollars companies spend on marketing that's paid marketing. And basically it's a free recruiting tool for you because if people see it, they could want to come work here. Like, hey, Stefanie is posting about this amazing company she works for. And I just went and checked it out. And it looks like this is a really cool place to work. I'm going to go look at this as an option. Where that is not something that would happen probably with a company page because of course you say your company is the best place to work on your company LinkedIn. I mean, that's how it works, right? So I think there's a lot of different, it's not just sales, it's also recruiting. It's also just brand awareness that happens from, people seeing it and it's just believing it more. It's just more believable because it's a human that's talking about it, not some company that's, got a team curating it.
Definitely. And I'm sure that you have seen this too, Stefanie, but I know myself, just as I've grown on LinkedIn and helped other businesses, building a personal page is so much easier than a company page. And I think because of that reason, people don't want to be marketed to. You're putting out your marketing stuff. It's so hard to get followers on company pages, but personal pages, especially when you're actively out there, with a consistent message of what you're saying, but also being, authentic, it's just so much easier to grow. But I digress. Let's get into really quick. I want to tell you all a little bit more about Cherry Assistant and High Level, but I want to hear more from John too. We're going to be getting into attributes of top-notch account executives. Now, we were just debating, should account executive be on LinkedIn or not? So, I'm curious about that, but other top-notch, like consistently across the board, what does everyone agree on, that like you absolutely should have as an account executive? But before we get into that, let me introduce y'all to Cherry Assistant. So we'll be right back right after this brief message.
This is Mike, also known as Clean with Mike on Twitter. Mike hired a virtual assistant from Cherry Assistant about 2 years ago. Now he has a $50K per month business fully managed by a remote operator in South Africa. His VA from South Africa does the following: closing inbound leads on the phone, Yelp and Google and Facebook, manages his CRM and Go High Level, deals with rescheduling, cancellations, any issues, hires and manages the cleaners, and sends them daily reports and updates. Mike has a fully cash flowing business managed by a remote operator for only $8 an hour. You can also hire a US equivalent worker in the Philippines, South Africa, Latin America for a fraction of the cost with Cherry Assistant. Be like Mike and grow your business with offshore staff.
So that's the menu of services you can see from Cherry Assistant right there, kind of listed out. So they do more than just, creating intro videos like you see on Wednesday, putting in headshots and new topics every week. Like I'm always talking about, like they're helping different businesses with a lot of different things. But yeah, I'm growing my agency with Cherry Assistant. So not only do they help me with my marketing, they help me with my clients' marketing. So basically any type of marketing that we're putting together, be it a newsletter or a blog or a live stream, they are coming up with first and I'm reviewing it. Same thing with video editing. We're working with the brands to get their different brands, their brand down, because everyone wants their short form videos, like their own personalized custom way. So we'll work with them, and then Cherry Assistant's basically helping me scale much faster than I would have been able to building a marketing agency had I not had Cherry Assistant. So I couldn't suggest them highly enough. Like I don't sponsor or take sponsorships or promote brands that I don't work with. So this is coming from the heart. Cherry Assistant is where it's at. DJ Kim is the founder there, and they are just doing some really great things. I don't know. I can't even keep track of how many businesses he's had acquired just in the last 2 years. So he's getting Cherry Assistant to also power his brands. He had like a cleaning company and a data company and just so many other things. So check out Cherry Assistant. They've done a really great job building a system that aligns you with someone who fits your time and the skills that you need. But anyway, also High Level. So Stefanie, you and I met at the High Level Summit. And we both got to speak at the High Level Summit. So I was on the affiliate panel, and you were speaking on LinkedIn in particular at the High Level Summit.
I was. It was awesome. Probably the best event I've ever been to. It's just incredible. The culture of the community there and just how they produce events, it's unrivaled.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm curious to hear, you were talking a little bit about High Level already, and I talk about High Level every week. And I think if anyone's listening to this who listens to it all the time, they know I love the social poster, the scheduler. I'm using that all the time. But other than the scheduler, what's your favorite High Level feature?
This sounds kind of crazy, but I actually really like the media storage feature. And it's because I use so many different things for clients that are, like online somewhere posted. A lot of my clients use PDFs of, catalogs and things like that. It's still, like I said, pretty old school. And so it gives me one place that everything can live, even with my team, like, hey, go find this in the media storage. It's in there for this client. It's a really nice thing. So that's a kind of like a dark horse because if you pay for that on another storage platform, it can get really expensive for clients and then they have to have their own account. So it's so nice to just have that in one place. And then the pipeline is really, it's great for clients. We're talking about sales a lot today. I have clients all the way from people that are personal brands that have speaking, coaching, consulting, solopreneur type business to, $150 million a year private equity owned companies with multiple locations. And we're implementing High Level into all of those. I'm actually pushing on enterprise people to go to High Level. So I'm kind of hoping to pilot a program on some things like that with people and see, because like you said, there are other CRMs that are $20,000, $30,000 a month for some of these big companies, and they don't do everything that High Level will do. So we're also building out a education platform on High Level with communities and courses for the building industry. So I'm really pretty obsessed with it. I'm actually learning every day. I'm a real I'm a high level person, so I don't like to get down in the weeds as much. But my husband and some of our team are really getting good at some of these expert in the weeds things. So it's every day learning something new, and I think that's really cool. But like I said, the founders are awesome. I've never seen a more supportive community of people. You'll go in the Facebook group and you're like, hey, I need to know how to do this. And the actual founders will respond. It's unheard of. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, it's so true. I feel like we're in a new era, with SaaS now. You don't have to spend so much money on technology.
Yeah, I agree.
Exactly. And all the features are there. Actually, like with the social scheduler, I think more features are there than with some of those bigger ones that businesses are paying so much for. I'm currently right now in the midst of helping another company migrate away from some of those. So as you were saying, like we are seeing companies move away from those larger platforms and to smarter tools like High Level, who also are incorporating AI, and there's just very cutting edge. But I digress. Check out High Level. I have an affiliate link. That's the other thing. I love their affiliate program. So I get 40% cut every time I sell High Level. That's recurring. So it's $97.
And you never have to touch that, which is cool.
Yeah, exactly. You really don't. And
they're supporting, and you can do any freebies you want to do, which is awesome. You can help your community with that. And I love it. It's a great program. It's pretty much unheard of in the industry what they're doing. And that's why they have the valuation and the amazing community they have, because when you do things that others would never think of, you build something that others could never do.
It's true. Yep. So if you're interested in becoming an affiliate, I would be glad to talk to you. Are you an affiliate, Stefanie, or do you use the?
I am, but I don't really do anything with it yet. I've started working on that, but right now I'm doing a lot of customization. So we have to have sub accounts. So I do have a SaaS through it, but it's more that's more my focus right now than affiliate stuff.
Very cool.
So sign up for her affiliate link if you need High Level.
Yeah, please do. Reveting.com/high level. And if you want to become an affiliate, like I want to help you. There are people we met at this High Level Summit who have made a living out of just selling High Level.
Some people are at 7 figures a year just out of affiliate sales. It's insane. It really is pretty cool what you can do.
Yeah. And it's just like uncapped commission. So if you can sell CRM marketing automation, go for it.
Yeah.
But John, I'm curious, have you heard of High Level?
I certainly have. I've used it before. My favorite feature is to be able to click that button and make a phone call and record that call in your CRM. So I'm a big fan of that. Yeah.
So you're working with big companies and you know of High Level already too.
I couldn't imagine a better one, particularly for a business to consumer that is highly engaged in digital marketing, social media marketing. If your company is out there on the net and advertising, by far, if you were to look at Salesforce or HubSpot or Zoho or Pipedrive, Go High Level is the place to be. It links sales process and digital spend fabulously. So go talk to your
somebody get John an affiliate link.
Yeah.
I unfortunately I can't be one because companies hire me to recommend CRMs. Sometime is the answer with Salesforce. The answer is Salesforce is, do you want to spend as much as possible? I've got a recommendation for you. Okay, it's facetious, all right. Or I might recommend Zoho for circumstances, or HubSpot. I'm a Pipedrive user because I basically stopped learning at about age 9, and age 9-year-olds can do that. But if I could have a vested interest, I'd be out there with Go High Level.
That's funny.
I love that. Cool. Well, good to know. And with that, let's get into talking a little bit more about account management. So we talk about our account executives. We were talking about sales management earlier, but what are some of those attributes of top-notch account executives, BDRs and SDRs too, John?
Sure. Guys, you're going to get about 10,000 words. So just sort of let them wash over you. I'm actually going to give you hand signals that are going to help you memorize this. It's very easy. First of all, let's talk about the stratification of sales. SDR, sales development rep. An SDR is an outbound cold caller. They're an individual working with long lists of phone numbers, making calls to promote an action or activity or an item. SDR, cold caller. Now, BDR stands for business development rep. The archetype for a BDR is a car salesperson in real. What happens with a car salesperson? They're on the lot. They wait for somebody to come on the lot, and then they say, let me get you in this car. A business development rep typically takes inbound communication, and it's designed for specific actions like demonstrating a software system or defining a particular deal. Outbound cold call SDR, inbound demonstration BDR, and then we have the catch-all account executive. These are typically the deal makers and the navigators for companies that are selling significantly costed software products, other things. Account executives do deals. SDRs make calls, BDRs give demonstrations. Now, what is the best attribute of an SDR? You're an SDR today. Here's your job. You're going to make 18 calls per hour for the next 6 hours for probably about 100. Of those 100 calls, only 10 of them are going to answer. Of those 100 calls, only 2 times are you going to get an appointment. Of those 100 calls, 85 times you're going to get a no. That is your day today. That's going to be your day tomorrow. That's going to be your day the next day. That will be your career. So what is the strongest attribute of an SDR? This hand signal right there. Straight down the middle of the lane, blinders on. It's not the best talking person. It's not the fastest talking person. It is a person of discipline and focus that just goes right down the middle of life. They shake off the rejection. They don't get overly excited about the wins. Right down the middle. Now let's talk about a BDR's job. What do you do as a BDR today? Well, between 8 and 8:30, you have an inbound call for a demonstration of your software. Then you have 15 minutes off. 8:45 to 9:15, another inbound. Then you're off for 30 minutes. Then another inbound. Then another inbound. You're giving 6, 8, 10 sales pitches a day. What is the best attribute for a BDR? This right here, the inverted pyramid. A BDR is taking a conversation and trying to get them into a focus, the focus to take action, buy the product, take a next step. They're walking in with a wide set of circumstances, wide set of unknowns of customization, and walking it in so that the sale can be made. SDRs, blinders on. BDRs, people that can condense things down, simplify them, summarize them, and get them to a point in time where a prospect can say yes. Account executive, they're like this. An account executive, what is your job today? Well, I've got 7 accounts. A couple guys I know may refer me, so I'm going to do networking. I've got this requirement over here, so I need to talk to these experts to get this scoping. Oh, and by the way, I need to get my new LinkedIn post out because I'm emailing by LinkedIn. Also, I've got a proposal right, and at 3 p.m. I have a closing meeting. An account executive world is divergence like this. So you're looking for a person that can take a starting position and develop it on multiple axes. The axis of revenue potential, the axis of connectivity, and the axis of business development outcome. SDRs, focus. BDRs, funnel. Account executives, expand into the world. Okay, that's my opinion.
I love it. That's a good way.
Okay.
I like the way you summarized it because that's an easy way to think about it.
Sure.
And I'm sure like with your companies that you go in and you help, it's probably very easy to train them on because something, when you make things over complex, it's like,
Sure.
it's never worth it. But just like having a really easy way to kind of divide it out, I think is interesting. What's your take on all of that, Stefanie?
I like that and the analogies. I think it's easy for people to know kind of what lane they're in. I haven't had a lot of experience cold calling, and I think that not to make everything about personal branding, but I know that's kind of what you focus on, and a lot of what I talk about is on LinkedIn. That helps where you might get more yeses. So even if you got, instead of 2 out of 100, you get 10 out of 100 to even, get a call, go into the next step. That's what personal branding can do because it helps you be more warm. So it pretty much allows people that wouldn't know or care who you are to know and care who you are, to be interested in something that you have to offer. So it's just another reason why I think it's important.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
The interesting thing about these professions is because of AI, SDR as we know it as a profession will cease to exist in the next 3 years to 5 years, 6 years at tops. We're already starting to see the first instances of voice SDRs breached on the AI branching logic that can make human sounding calls as effectively as an SDR is. So the career of SDR as we know it, as viable, is probably going to end in about the next 5 years. The next to go will be BDRs. BDRs have a more complex chain. They're starting here and trying to get here. You're already starting to see this proliferation, though, in the customer service AI systems. So we predict BDRs as a viable career, probably has a half lifespan of about 7 years. Amazingly, the last thing to go in AI replacement is going to be sales. Sales is a relationship, multimodal, very independent operation. So we won't have full AI salespeople until we have full AI wives and husbands and doctors and lawyers. If you're a BDR, you need to start preparing for a career change. AI is coming your way, so get prepared now. Okay.
Oh, I think that's a good notification to put out there. I could agree. And also, it seems like in the last few years, maybe even since the pandemic, that this model of and raise a whole bunch of money, which we see a lot of SaaS companies do, raise a whole bunch of money and then hire these huge inflated SDR teams. And just expecting that, like, the more SDRs you have, the more sales you're going to have. And turns out it didn't really work out that way for a lot of them. So I think we're seeing in SaaS, at least, a lot of companies scaling back on SDRs already for that reason.
Sure.
But money's tightening up.
We're
Yeah,
looking at significant cost structures, an opportunity to generate in the SDR model. Commonly, you're going to spend $275 per appointment. So unless you have a product or service with a closability ratio, in most circumstances, be prepared to pay $250 for that appointment. AI land, 27 cents.
yeah.
The
I think
world
that's
is
spot on.
changing.
I definitely think AI is going to take over even more of that. But I do agree with you that the higher end sells, the more the product is, the less AI is going to be able to nuance. It can do it, but it's just still not even close to being there. And I also think that there's something to be said about sitting across the table from someone and connecting with them as a human. So I actually think it may do the reverse of that in the sales world, to where no one trusts anyone unless it's a real person. So now I'm not talking about on the BDR side. I'm talking about that executive level, account executives and up. Those people are going to be more valuable, because if they're really good at what they do and they can continue to do that in person or even over a Zoom, but as a real human, it's going to be really cool to have that skill, which is funny because since there's no certification for it, maybe that's actually a good thing, because you can't just pump that into AI and say, here's the playbook. There's so many different playbooks, and all the different products make that even exponentially harder to really systematize.
Sure.
Yeah.
We're seeing a bifurcation in the market. And again, this is related to SDR sales. AI is making most of its entrees in content generation. There are 15 companies that will automatically generate AI content for LinkedIn messages or email messages. And I got a funny story to tell you. I have a friend that has a company that has an automated LinkedIn system to use AI to send out sales navigator messages that nurture and are content specific. And he is absolutely sure that these automated messages are going to get the best response. And we think that's the case, but the problem is they're simulating human beings. And I said to Mike, how do you know the responses that you're getting back aren't from a bot.
Bots talking to bots. It's
He
possible.
he ended the phone call. So AI voice is going to be different. We are having some movement in the industry to identify if a caller is an AI agent. This is happening in California. So we're going to see a lot of development in voice SDR. Next 2 years, tail of the tape. 5 years, it's over.
Mm.
7 years, BDRs are gone. I won't be around to see account executives replaced. Thank goodness.
I think account executives just become full cycle salespeople, but I digress. Let's get back into the final topic, which is how to gain influence and scale a B2B business. So, Stephanie, I know you help people do this a lot of different ways, and we've talked about LinkedIn a little bit. Could you kick us off on this topic?
Absolutely. There are a few different things that I think people should be looking at, and it is different based on, some of your role and your industry. But a few other beside LinkedIn that I would say is industry events. I believe that after the pandemic, now those have sort of come back in a full-on way. People want to get out of the house. They want to go see other humans and connect. I think AI is going to make this even more important to people to have a real connection. And so industry events in person, if you can get to be a speaker at these events, it's even bigger to gain influence. People associate you as an expert, and then they feel like when they need to solve that problem, if you're an expert in that problem, they're going to think of you. And the more you can get people to think of you first, the better off it is. Again, money follows attention. And the other option, I think, is really a different approach, but we're on one right now, either a live stream, a webinar, or a podcast. And you are really smart because you're kind of using this as all of those. You're doing this live streaming. It's on LinkedIn. It's also going to be featured on YouTube. It's also going to be on Instagram, and it's going to be on a recording later for people to come back with. That is gaining influence with you using one medium in lots of different ways. So it saves you time and effort because we're all busy. We have a million things on our plate. So I want you to be thinking about what are the underused platforms of attention in your industry. So it's not the same for every single person. For me, it's LinkedIn because I am in the building industry, as I said multiple times. Construction has some play on Instagram, but it's really hard to get traction there. So if you're looking for some way to post, do it on LinkedIn. And then maybe you do some video content. Video content is amazing because it is harder to replicate with AI, where copywriting, you can actually, write it with an AI tool. Now you can make video with AI tool. I fully realize that. But I still think there's something about having a real human. You can tell it's me, and my voice doesn't sound all weird and robot-y. And you can use that in different ways. So that's option number one, is using industry events in person. Option number two is podcasting or live streaming. And then option number three, I'm going to go old school on you here. So I'm going to talk about gaining influence by personal relationships one at a time. This is how I've built my business in the last 2 years so quickly, is that I spent my entire career before that building these amazing, strong relationships, one lunch, one phone call, one text, one handwritten note at a time. There will never be a moment where that is not valuable, and there's no industry where that is not valuable. So yes, we have amazing tools like High Level. We have marketing that's digital on a million different platforms, but there is something about calling someone on the phone and talking to them, or seeing them in person over coffee, or walking in and handshaking or hugging. In the South, I like to hug, but there's something about that that's not going to go away. So that is really about building influence and scaling your business in B2B. Have people that know you, that love you, that care about you, that want to do business with you, that trust you, and you'll have more business than you ever would need or want if you continue to do that throughout your career. And it has to be genuine and authentic. It can't be this BS, hey, I'm only here for myself. People want to know what's in it for me, but you as a salesperson and the person building the business, you have to be thinking about giving an immediate value to customers and then a continued value to customers all the time. I lay in bed at night and I ask myself, and my husband and I talk all the time about, how do we give more to the people for the same amount or less that we are already charging them? How do we get better? So building influence is giving as much as you can, and people will see that and they're going to want to be a part of that and want the thing that you're offering. So that's my 3 tips: in-person networking and webinar podcasting, and then just one-on-one good old relationship building.
Well, obviously, I love that because, we are live stream podcasters here and help other businesses do that.
Yes.
But yeah, no, it's just so powerful. And you're so right that being human is what's going to connect us, because AI is just taking over. And that one relationship at a time thing, I'm sure you could probably appreciate that too, John. And it resonated with me because I'm like you, I'm a marketer. So I'm like, I've been working off of inbound basically for the last couple of years. And finally, I'm like, you know what? There are thousands of people in my CRM. I'm going to start calling my CRM. I think that hopefully will make you proud too, John. But yeah, I've just started, and you're right. I'm picking up the phone. I'm calling people just like, oh, you came to my show. Okay, that's how you're in here now. And you just start to get to know people, and one thing leads to another, and then you have a referral, and then, and so that resonates a lot. I got to think, John, that it probably resonates with you too as a salesperson, right?
I came from the old school. Started my career formally in 1986. We did not have the internet. There was no Google. There was no LinkedIn. There was no email. You met with people. You went out to their offices. You sat at a conference table. How you dressed mattered. How you shook hands mattered. So there is a fundamental valuation of communication person to person from my generation that doesn't exist today. Now we have all of these text-based communications, and we have this blessing called Zoom and our webinar platforms. We cannot do that otherwise. But I actually have a feeling of sadness for some of the younger salespeople. And a person that's a younger salesperson to me is 40 under, that didn't grow up in the day where you literally had to walk in an office, shake hands, sit down, arrange yourself, and start talking before you could make a sales call. And I worry. I worry about the upcoming generations of salespeople, because this is slowly being weeded out of us, even more so with AI. What do I think is going to happen? I think that the best communicators sell more, will even sell more, because communication now via these limited channels is becoming so much more important. But you know what? To every salesperson that's listening, go out and practice with somebody. Walk up, shake their hand, be right in front of them, and give your sales pitch. If you can do that perfectly, everything else is set. Practice in person.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. Shoot, we're 2 minutes over, and we do have, let's see, one entry for the prize. So if you haven't put in hashtag revenue and you want to enter to win John's prize, please go ahead and do so. But I'm going to pull myself out of the screen really quick so you guys can tell everyone why they should go follow your guru of the week. Pull myself out here. Here we go.
I
All right,
will be happy
to off. Our guru of the week for me is Andrew Brown. Andrew is an amazing business owner. He actually has a really cool story. He volunteered on September 11th to do a rescue for all the people in the towers in New York. He was there, and it changed his life seeing the tool people that were out in the trades working to try to do all of these amazing things with the aftermath of that September 11th. He started a business called Tool Fetch, and now he works in the industry helping get the next generation of women and men into the trades. And he works a lot with school students and college students doing that. He's a really intriguing guy, super awesome to be on a podcast with him a few months ago. So if you don't follow Andrew, even if you're not in the construction industry, he's just doing cool stuff. He's a great guy. I definitely recommend going and following him.
Jake Stahl is a national treasure in sales and a really great guy. Jake is a corporate sales trainer. There are a bunch of those. Jake is probably one of the top 7 world-class experts on neuro-linguistic programming. Neurolinguistic programming is the connection of the words that we say with regards to how our brain processes it. And it's well known that the words that we say and how we say it can directly impact the effectiveness of a sales call and closing. He provides consulting services that integrate neurolinguistic program, development of scripts, the development of presentations, corporate training that is just over the top. And he'll tell you a good story. It's a story because a study was done when people were standing in line for a copier, how they would get next in line. And what they found is that if somebody came up and said, I'd like to get in line in front of you, because they had a much higher rate of getting that. What they also found, didn't matter the reason why. I'd like to get in front of you because I want to be in front of you, worked as well as I want to be in front of you because my dog is about to die. Jake builds his practice around that. Guys, if you talk and sell, he's a good guy to know. Give him a buzz. You can find him on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your gurus
Sure.
of the week with the audience. And really quick before we go, let me see. Okay, we've got one entry for the prize, and I believe it's Eileen De La Fuente. So Eileen, we will reach out to you after the show. We'll get your email address and we'll connect you with John via email. So thank you and congratulations. And thank you to both of you for coming on the show. This was a really great conversation. Man, I got to say, one of my favorite moments might have been the whole idea that took me down a loop. Maybe not a favorite moment. It's just an interesting thought that when AI can do all of sales is when people are marrying husband and wives AI. That's going to stick in my head. But then also, Stefanie, you saying you're from the South, you just want to give people a hug. I feel you. I'm from the Midwest. I'm a hugger myself. And you're right. We just want to be human. We don't want to hug AI, at least yet, I guess. But with that, I digress and want to invite both of you to share your email or contact information, or how the audience could get in touch with you after the show if they wanted. And before you do share that, also tell them exactly the service you're providing and who you support, so that if you could potentially support them, then maybe they could reach out to you. We'll start with you, John.
Absolutely. My apologies. My dog is going off. You can reach me at john.benson@salesqb.com. I'd be happy to talk with you. I'm a giving person with regards to my expertise. So many people mentored me, truly masters and titans. I would be happy to talk with you about your sales challenges. Okay. Just give me a buzz. We'll have a chat. I'm here to make sure you learn and grow, not sell my services.
Love that. How about you, Stefanie?
The best way to find me is just on LinkedIn. I'm there every day pretty much. So send me a DM, drop me a comment, check out my profile. And then obviously I have Grit Blueprint as my company. I work with companies in the construction and building materials industries and individuals in that also. So I do branding, marketing, and training services and a lot of strategy work with those people.
That's incredible. Well, thank you again both so much. And thank you so much to our audience. Until next week, when we're bringing on Dan Kirk and Chris Sorensen, we hope you all have a great week, and we'll catch you next time. Bye, John. Bye.